It's time for us to react to the newest survivor, that is Lanternist. I have not really seen anything yet about this character. I do not know if they're going to be strong or weak. The only thing that I have seen is one thumbnail with some like photo strips flying around her, and that's it. So I'm very excited to see what she does. I'm hoping it's something fun. She's fancy. I like that. She looks cool. They've been doing really well with the default kind of skins for these characters. Okay, the little item on her back is interesting too. I'm assuming that's part of her ability. Okay, the Lanternist carries a projection lantern, as we could see, and can freeze frame survivors onto an optical slide. When freeze frame it, why is it every character they release makes it more and more difficult for me to pronounce things? Freeze framing herself, she can gain status projection and position projection for 10 seconds. When freeze framing a teammate, that teammate gains status projection for 8 seconds. Each teammate can be freeze framed no more than 2 times. If a survivor takes normal attack damage during the freeze frame ends early. Survivors can also end a freeze frame manually. If the Lanternist's within 20 meters of a rocket chair with a survivor on it, the freeze frame duration is reduced by 75%. I think until I see this is not going to make any sense. But what does that mean? What does that... Okay. So is she invisible? Is she like magician? Okay. Does that freeze frame them? Okay, interesting. I do not understand anything about what has happened. Well, I understand like how that works, but I don't understand what the point of that is, apart from going invisible potentially. Okay, survivors condition in freeze framed onto the optical slide. That doesn't make sense. During the freeze frame, damage from non-normal attacks, excluding the photographer's camera weld and the breaking wheel's pierce, and strong control effects will not take effect immediately, but will instead be applied instantly when the freeze frame ends. If a survivor takes damage during the freeze frame, any control effect is ignored. If they were affected by multiple control effects, only the most recent one applies when the freeze frame ends. What's the benefit of that, apart from delaying 8 seconds? 8 seconds for survivors, 10 seconds for yourself. Okay, I'll just watch it. Oh, so whilst they're just immune during that phase. Okay. Okay. Okay, that was... Okay, I understand. So it's just, it delays your damage taking by 8 seconds or 10 seconds, depending on your if it's yourself or the person or somebody else, right? Okay, the Lanternist location is also freeze framed onto the there is some benefits to that. Okay, I can think of some benefits of that. The Lanternist location is also freeze framed onto the optical slide. It's also, after activation, she leaves her body and moves in a embodied state with 10% movement speed. She can freeze frame again from a new position, leaving a visible trail along the path. So this is what we saw before, right? Where, because they aren't freeze framed, because we could see they weren't invisible when she was giving them the freeze frame. But when she freeze framed herself at the beginning, she went invisible and she left like almost like a magician illusion behind. It had a weird trail going the wrong direction. I'm not really sure what they meant by that, but because it says here, leaving a visible trail along the path. She just gets a 10% movement speed increase and is potentially invisible. Yeah. Okay, I understand. And then she does it again and it leaves a... Okay, but okay. I understand. But why? Why freeze frame multiple times? Because I'm assuming she did that, right? Yeah. Oh, because is it because your frozen body takes the damage? So you want to just like continuously keep it moving so it avoids getting hit? Is that what happens? Ooh. Okay. The Lanternist can so this is called this is still static projection. The Lanternist can freeze frame cipher machines. Okay. Rocket chairs and the exit gate. While freeze frames, survivors can still interact with these objects at 10% increased speed. Survivors may also manually remove the freeze frame effect. Decoding is freeze framed onto the optical slide for 10 seconds. All of the decoding progress made during the freeze frame is instantly... Oh, cool. It's instantly applied when it ends. Wait, so is that designed to... Is this character like a big counter? Because back in the day, and I haven't watched a lot of competitive Identity 5 for a while now, but I used to watch a decent amount of it. A lot of competitive Identity 5 turned out to be like tournaments, right? Where you would have the last cipher machine, you'd have like 3 survivors near a cipher machine and a hunter, and they're just basically having a stare down, waiting for someone to do something. With this character, this might not be the main intention of this, but that's just the only thing that my brain went to. It would lead to a situation where you could just, everyone decodes the cipher machine, and then you just leave, and then 20 seconds later it pops, and so the hunter can't just stand at the cipher machine because there's no one there. I'm not sure what the other use of this would be. Maybe like if you time it correctly, you might be able to go in for a rescue and then pop it. It's an interesting one. I don't completely see the usual utility, but that's okay. I'm probably missing something. Yeah, so I can see... Okay, so it leaves like a white trail. That's cool. Because it stops wiggling? Because it makes it look like the cipher's not wiggling. Yeah. Okay, that's useful. That's very useful. I like that. That's actually very useful. And then it just pops. Yeah, okay. She's gonna be confusing to deal with as a hunter. That's gonna be a real pain. But okay, I get it. It's gonna be like prisoner annoying, where it's like, is prisoner here? Is prisoner there? But we can kind of assume he's somewhere. Okay. So she can do the same thing with rocket chairs. Deelimination, I think it means elimination. Elimination progress is freeze framed onto the optical slide for 5 seconds, and all elimination progress made during the freeze frame is instantly applied when it ends. So does that mean if you rescue, like you freeze it, and if you rescue, it doesn't apply it because you rescue before the thing is there, but it will appear if you don't rescue within 5 seconds? Yes. So you have to rescue. Yeah. That's useful. That's very useful. That's kind of broken. That's probably one of the coolest things I've seen. Yeah, I like that. I still don't completely see the utility of that whole little skipping thing where she was like making a copy. What? I guess she's invisible, right? So it's invisibility. Do we need more invisible characters? They're already quite a pain to deal with as they are, but okay. Whatever. And now the exit gate. Exit gate decoding is freeze framed onto the optical slide for 20 seconds. For all decoding progress made during the freeze frame. Yeah, so I don't see the benefit of this at all. This would make more sense in Dead by Daylight, because in Dead by Daylight, the end game thing happens, right? Where the end game collapse happens, where if you open up one of the exit gates, a timer starts, and if the timer ends, every survivor who's still in the match dies immediately wherever they are. They're just gonna get grabbed and pulled through the floor. So this would be very useful for DBD because you could like prepare it in advance. But I don't see what the use of that is for IDV. Maybe somebody else can tell me, but that's okay. Optical illusion. When dropping a pallet, the Lanternist uses her projection lantern to confuse the hunter. The pallet cannot be destroyed for 1 second. 2v8. If the lantern is in a disembodied state, if the Lanternist is in a disembodied state, so she's invisible, the effect lasts for 1.5 seconds. This can only trigger once every 10 seconds. Wait, is this just like a general passive that she has? So every pallet she drops just takes an entire 1 second more to... Yeah, she's invisible. Okay, that clarifies that for me. I just wanted to make sure she was completely invisible. That's actually quite annoying. There are some really good pallets where that just means you have to basically just give up on the chase, I think. Okay, she's got all thumbs, so she has a decoding speed decrease of 10% due to her hypersomnia. Okay. That's it. I think, yeah. Okay. Yep, so record somebody. Yeah, they ignore the... That's actually quite useful. Being able to ignore the effects is very useful. But you still take the effects after. Okay, okay. I'm pretty sure I saw that, but then I was confused before because I think someone got hit by a stun, and then at the end of the animation, they didn't get hit by the stun, so I was confused. Yes, it means that you can go in for rescues. Mm-hmm. It also means you can get out of dungeon and exit gate and stuff like that. That's all very useful as a whole. That's a pain. Does she have scratch marks? Yeah, now you just have to wait. That's so... An entire second. A second is a long time in IDV. So she kind of tries to swing again. Yeah. So you're just doing that to make sure that the hunter doesn't damage you, because you get damaged by getting hit. Your old form is going to get... I guess it doesn't matter if you're... Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're invisible because they have to hit your past copy. Oh no. Interesting. And then she just waits 20 seconds and it pops. Realistically, maybe you'll be able to time that correctly, but that's not gonna happen. See? This would just not happen. This would just not happen because why would you... Oh, let me just delay the exit gate opening so that we can toxically open the gate in front of you, I guess. That's not the goal. It would just lose you the match most of the time. So I'm not sure why you do this, but there is probably some very niche use case for this, but I can't think of it. This would just be throwing the match because like they could have left already, right? This is just unsafe. I am worried as usual for 2v8. Most characters that release these days, I do worry a little bit for 2v8 overall because this character is going to be a real pain to deal with in a chase. I like her. I think she's got an interesting gimmick. I was expecting more illusion effects. And on that end, I'm slightly disappointed. But again, I need to, as usual, in the back of my mind, I remember that this is Identity 5, and Identity 5, the developers don't usually make abilities that are actually super connected to the character's name. Seer, he has an owl. Why would you ever assume that? Lawyer uses a map. Thief does use a flashlight. I guess you could kind of associate that with a thief. Knight, he uses predictions to negate abilities, logically. Opera singer, she doesn't use her voice in the slightest. She just jumps between shadows. But the shadow summons a ghost that scares people? But she's not the one that jumps between shadows. A lot of these characters don't have any connection. Prisoner has nothing to do with prisons in the slightest. All he does is connect cipher machines up with electricity via Wi-Fi. You know, I gotta temper my expectations. She does have some slight camera freeze frame related stuff, but to be honest, this ability is what I would expect Joseph's survivor form to have. So if they ever do a Joseph survivor form, I don't know how they're going to justify any abilities for this character. But yeah, interesting. And we're going to see what you guys said. One sec. Yeah, the invisibility could be removed and she'd still be an interesting character. But IDV has to give new characters everything. Yeah. She has everything. Kiting, decoding, rescuing, supporting, and extremely fun to see. Yes, but she doesn't... Her decoding isn't a decoding buff. It doesn't do anything like that. She doesn't have... Her abilities are very interesting because they are beneficial, but they're beneficial in very niche situations, and they're useful in very cool situations where you want to do something very different. You don't want to play standard IDV. I think this character is way more of an advanced character to actually use properly. I don't think beginners or mid-tier players are really going to benefit from this character at all, apart from the fact that she's, you know, she looks cool or something, right? I think this character is very much designed to be a high-tier kind of character where you play her when you know the game in and out. You know when it's a good idea to try and delay ciphers, delay damage. You know when to try and stop stuns from happening. She's like Seer, but niche and more powerful in some situations, but only in the hands of someone who completely understands the game. I think invisibility is boring. I don't like the cipher thing at all. Her giving other survivors the ability to perfectly flywheel Hunter's abilities might be frustrating, but I'll wait to see. Yeah, but I think it's not as easy to it is quite a long duration of invincibility. It's not exactly invincibility, but you get the point. It's like mercenary on steroids kind of protection, right? She wasn't able to see through their perspective. She has to guess. She has to be like, well, you can aim it at anyone you want at any point, but you don't know what's actually going on unless you can visually see them or they're telling you in VC. Her ability is by far the pallet lock for one. Yeah, the best ability just for general use is definitely the pallet lock for 1.1 second to 1.5 seconds. Yeah, but the pallet thing is the most useful thing and kind of scary. I feel like Mia's pointed that out, and it's something that also that's one of the things that stood out to me. I was like, oh no, that's a problem. I don't like that. 1 second is a long time because it's 1 second and the pallet doesn't break after that 1 second. You have to then break it. So, you know, it's oof. Yep, so she can select characters, but she doesn't seem to be able to watch their perspective. She's invisible, potentially no scratch marks. But it doesn't matter because I think you have to hit the illusion, not her. Or you can. Oh no, she does watch them. That was very unclear of like how long she just saw them for. Maybe she does spectate them. And at the end of this animation, he should get stunned, right? Yes, yeah. And you can end it earlier, so you can take the stun whenever you want to. That is kind of cool. Yeah, that's kind of cool that you can decide to take the damage when you want to. So you could use it for like a speed boost if you wanted, because, you know, I'm assuming you get the speed boost from, you know, not veteran, but basically the same thing, right? The passive that every survivor has to get the speed boost after getting hit. And you can pop it whenever you want to. Okay, that's something I forgot. I forgot that you could pop it whenever you wanted to. I thought it was like you have to wait the 20 seconds out. But no, you can cancel at any time. Okay, that makes it way more viable as well. That makes it way stronger. The freezing, I've completely forgot about the freezing chair thing. The freezing chair thing is really, 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 really good. Like really, 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 really good. It's only, how many seconds does it freeze for? 5 seconds. That's still 5 seconds. That's really, really good. That's almost 10% of the entire chair time. This is very, very strong. She's already miles away and she's invisible. Remember, she can use her invisibility ability here. Yeah, footsteps disappeared. Do you see that? No footsteps, no scratch marks. So you'd have to predict where she went. What's also kind of cool is you can make it look like the cipher machine is wiggling whenever you want to as well. So you could be like, oh yeah, I'm over here, and you're really not over here. Yep, you take the stun and you keep on going. Yeah. So they still take the damage. It's very useful for a rescuer who just wants to go in and get that rescue. She's very useful. Someone who knows exactly what's going on all the time. Yeah, so the hunter didn't know that she was standing there. That's going to be a real pain. Because you're going to get pallet stunned by something you have no clue that's even there. Because with Pharaoh Lady, you know that she's there because of the blue thing. So you can guess that she's potentially behind that door, but you have no clue. Every time you walk through a pallet, you're now going to be second guessing yourself. She's not fun to chase. I think until we see what she's like to chase, and how painful she is to chase. She allows survivors to flywheel or chip damage status effects since you can see the little timer before the delay runs out. She allows for perfect flywheel unless you're bad. Yes, but as long as she's used the ability on you, yes. And who knows how many charges she has and how long it takes and how well she's able to see what that survivor's doing. I think she's a fair character. Chasing her is going to be so annoying though, because you're going to be constantly trying to... Have you guys ever played against an entomologist as a hunter before? Because if you've played against an entomologist as a hunter, you'll know that how annoying it is to try and hit the bees, because they always like leave the bees and then you start swinging and they dismantle the bees before your hit happens. That's going to be the experience of chasing this survivor when she's invisible. I don't know how long her invisibility lasts. Was it 10 seconds? But for 10 seconds, you're just going to be swinging at the air, because if the survivor that knows what they're doing is just going to consistently wait until you start or you're about to use an attack animation, and then they're just going to press the button to reset the position. So you're just going to be like, huh. And then you now need to work out where she is. Where is this other copy? Because, you know, however many seconds have passed since you were going to hit this one, and now she's over here. And oh, now you need to go over there because that's where the copy's at. It's just going to be like swinging at the air simulator, meaning you're going to have to take that persona web trait that gives you faster recovery when you miss an attack. Maybe she's super easy to chase, but I just don't think that she's going to be. I don't know, cool.